Dang.
Dying. Oh.
We're matching.
Again.
Oh, no.
You guys are matching. Wow.
Are y'all matching all the way down to the shoes?
No.
I have 10 shoes on.
Darn. Because I know how to match. Like, what shoes do you have on?
Mine are black and white.
There's white.
White? You don't have to have white on to wear it.
Yeah.
Her eyes are white.
My skin is white.
I was going to say she's white. So.
I'm white. That's all that matters.
What?
So you can wear white.
Oh, God. All right. We'll let the last get out the way.
Good.
Episode 8. Welcome back to the One Time Podcast. We're missing someone again. Rocky, unfortunately, could not make it this episode.
Unfortunately.
But it's okay. You still got us, and we're going to keep going. My brain just kind of was
That's because he was trying to
like
know he was
loading.
going to say what he was.
But yeah, today we are going to be talking about being new to the faith and being a new believer and everything like that. So yeah, go ahead, Kayla.
Okay, so do you guys remember what it was like when you were new to the faith?
No.
I do not, to be honest with you. I will say, I remember what it was like whenever I had like a better understanding and genuinely knowing who Jesus is. Like, because I grew up, we all grew up in church, you know what I mean? And it's always just kind of been a thing of, I've always believed that I've always held like morals, you could say. And I've always like held the belief, but genuinely like living it out and having a real understanding of like who Jesus is and everything. It wasn't until like here recently. Like I think it started about 2 years ago, and then it's like been kicking in as of like last year. Like, so that's for me.
I think when I think of like new to the faith, I think of when you first start like believing that it's true, like that what you read in the Bible is true, and that like He really did die for your sins, and that's how the world was made. Like I feel like that's where it begins. At least like the way we were raised. Like we were taught the Bible stories, but I don't ever remember like not believing that. Because I mean, we've gone to church for forever, and luckily I don't think I ever really hit a point of like questioning like, is this real, as much as like I needed Him to show His power to believe that. Not really show, but like once I started seeing this stuff, then I believed that like He could do everything the Bible said He could do. Because like believing that He could save me, believing that He died on the cross, believing that He cast demons out, believing that He did, believing that He does. And that was like a different level, but I feel like new to the faith, like I don't remember that part of it.
You
Like,
never questioned? Oh man, I did.
That's what I was going to say.
I was like, oh.
Like, I don't remember a time not knowing, but I definitely went through, I feel like a couple different times where, because there's like, I feel like there was a lot of highs and lows in it. And there were a couple different times that and like sometimes it wasn't even like specifically questioning God and like, is He real? But like, is it worth it? Like, because I feel like when you're on earth and you're like in your world of flesh, there are just things that like you don't really take eternity as seriously. And so you're just like, when you think about like the kind of like the way that you have to live and how your life looks different than the rest of the world, you just like, I feel like I got to a point of I was like, okay, but do I even care enough? Like, is it even worth it? Like, yes, I believe that God is real, but like, do I care enough to worry about it? Like, does that really matter to me? And I feel like there was a time in my life when it didn't. Like the thought of death or like dying scared me simply because I think because of growing up in church, I always knew like there is heaven and hell and I never wanted to go to hell. But like, I feel like I hit such a low point in my life that I just was like, I don't even care at this point because the stuff that I was dealing with on earth seemed so important and so like pressing in my life that I was just like, at this point, it doesn't even matter. But then I also went through a time before that when I did question, like, okay, is He even real? But I think it was because like what was I doing to like see him in my life? What was I doing to experience it? Nothing. And I was just assuming that he was going to take care of my faith, not letting myself be the one to live that out. So
Right. That's good.
Wowzers.
I feel like if I questioned like anything, it wasn't like questioning if it was real. Like you said, like how like the second time it wasn't questioning if it was real. It was more like I questioned that he could love me the way that I believed he loved other people. Like,
Yeah, like can he do that for me?
Yeah, which I don't feel like is it does tie into the faith part of it, but like I never questioned like to me, like when I was little at least, it felt like questioning if like my parents are my parents. Like it was just like not a second thought. You know, like he's real, that's what I've been told. Like but I didn't have the like it's a way that Papa put it one time where Papa was like
Hello, Papa.
yeah, Papa
we
said
stand Papa.
We stand Papa in this
Special
house.
guest coming
Yes.
soon. Imagine.
Papa would be a great special
You
guest.
put Papa right there in the middle. Actually, I want to see that. For 10 likes, we'll ask Papa to come on our podcast.
10 likes. We'll ask him. We can't like
We
guarantee
can't make it, but we'll ask for sure.
But he said
Send him a
like
text right now.
I don't remember if it was that he like felt I think it was that he felt like his story or something was like inferior because he didn't have like a fancy story. Like his story was boring. And like it was just that of like
his testimony.
like it just always been. Like I remember getting saved and I remember that and I remember getting baptized and Dad happened to wrap his foot up because he just stubbed his toe and couldn't get his foot wet.
That's wild.
Like I remember all of that and that stuff was just so like whatever. But then when it came to like applying that he loves me the way that he loved everyone then and that I believe he loves everyone else, then it was like, well, like why? Like
and I think for me, like, because I'm trying to remember, I think I got baptized the first time. I think I was 9.
you got baptized before me and Kate.
Right. That was the first one.
Look at you being a
And
trendsetter. Love that for you.
right. And I feel like I really, honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. Growing up in church, I saw everyone get baptized, and I do think that genuinely, I know that when I got baptized the first time, like at that age, I was doing what I wanted to do. Because I remember like my parents had the conversation with me and I was like, oh, I want to get baptized. They like sat me down and made sure I understood what that meant. But I feel like the feeling getting baptized that first time versus what happened over the past couple months when I did it again, like
Complete, like
cannot explain it. It
Yeah.
didn't seem so much like a duty or something that I was supposed to do, or like I feel like growing up in like the church that like we did, getting baptized very much seemed like a let me show everyone
It was an obligation.
how good
Yeah.
of a Christian I am. Let me show everyone. And I
Even how we were
remember
taught, it was told that it was an outward,
Yes, an outward
Right.
showing of your faith.
And
outward
I thought-
confession of an
Yes.
inward
I
change.
thought you
And-
had to go through water baptism to get into heaven.
and see, I think it's just
Yeah.
because like
That's how it's taught.
That's
and
how
and
it's
it
taught.
and it wasn't really like elaborated on. Like it was very much just like, well, we don't really have to tell you why because this is what you're supposed to do, and that's it. That's
I
it.
knew it
They
to
didn't even have a
And-
reason why.
Right. Like, if,
that's why they didn't explain
like
it.
if you question it, you're
Explain what
probably
you
not
don't know.
saying.
Well, we have a
that type of
baptistry,
stuff.
so
And I wrote,
question your problem.
wow. Like I feel like that was probably what they thought. Like if you
Yeah.
question it, you're just not saved, so don't worry
Right.
about it.
If you,
And-
It's like
especially, you don't really know the
It
Lord,
is.
It's like the
so-
communion
Yeah, we
thing.
just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And then I remember Dad explaining it totally different, like before I got baptized this time, and talking about how I feel like, especially because we are a lot more aware of, like, there is a spiritual realm and that type of stuff. And I remember him explaining it and saying that, like, getting baptized, yes, it's like an outward thing, and it's something that you physically can do to, like, show that you are changing and that you are changing, that type of stuff. But it is also it's an action to show in the spirit realm that you are changed. You are now ready to fight. You are going to do what you have to do. And I feel like when I heard it that way, it gave it more purpose other than, because in my brain, like, oh, if it's for everyone else to see,
Then what's the point?
I'm not going to do it then, because what is the point? And I remember like feeling like, oh, I was like, well, maybe I want to get baptized again. And I was like, no, because like I was still dealing with I have to keep up this persona. And if everyone sees me get baptized, then they're going to be like, oh, so you've been faking it this whole time. And I just didn't want that to be a thing. And I feel like after that, it was, and so like to me, it did feel like, I feel like I've been walking in this, like I feel like I am new to the faith in a sense.
Yeah.
Because even though I've known all these years and I've done all the things previously.
You knew here, but you didn't know here.
Right. And I remember when I first like prayed my little prayer and asked Jesus to come in my heart. And
I did mine at a baby shower. I was just walking in the basement and I was like, you know what? And I just prayed.
I want to be friends with Jesus. Dear Jesus.
I think I was in the bathroom.
I was ready to say, aren't you the one that was in the bathroom?
Yeah. So
I walked out literally from washing your hands, and she was like, "I just got saved."
yeah.
Like, what?
Right. Yeah.
In the bathroom.
Yes.
Wow.
And so like I remember doing that, and then I remember getting baptized. But I feel like I've had the same experiences now, but like totally different with a totally different understanding. And
I'm sorry, in the bathroom is crazy.
I know. And I remember doing it. I can still remember doing it.
Were you staring at yourself in the mirror?
Nope. I was actually sitting on the
never
toilet.
mind. Okay.
That's why I was like, "Do you want that from washing your hands?" I was like, "I can't."
I have to let everyone know I got saved in the bathroom.
And then he's like, "Oh, staring." No.
Yep,
Nope.
that's a clip. We're definitely making that a clip. Yeah.
To be fair, you could have lied and said, yeah.
She just listened to the way she's like, "No, David danced before the Lord."
Yeah.
Sitting here.
Sitting here boldly before the Lord.
As I empty
In my
myself.
most
to you.
well, I was gonna say in my most vulnerable state, but that is crazy.
I literally emptied myself to the Lord.
Oh gosh. Lord, please forgive us and get us back on track.
Marty, please don't watch this
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I'm gonna watch this, and he's literally gonna be like, "No, this is why I can't leave them alone."
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
but
when we
that's
show Paw Paw.
Can I be that first line? Emptying myself for the Lord daily.
Daily.
You can be saved anywhere. Just ask
Literally.
me.
Oh,
You can be saved
gosh.
anywhere there's just no toilet.
Salvation has no limits.
Amen, yes. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
back to being new to the faith.
Yes.
Back on track. Look at that.
I do have a question. So, not really a question, but similar.
What? Similar to the
You know
question.
what?
Like a
Okay, I see
statement?
what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, like half question, half statement. type
Yeah,
thing.
okay. I feel it.
So
Let's run
I just stuttered.
That's okay.
So you see a lot of people now, right?
Mm-hmm.
New believers. I know for myself, like whenever I was in the spot where I was like questioning a lot, I've always been skeptical, even since I was like a little kid. Like I needed to know how it worked, how this, why that. And a lot of people in general nowadays are very, very skeptical because that there's so much of like lying in the world, and there's just like a lot of like persona and like fake stuff in the world. You know what I mean? And I feel like as like a new believer walking into the faith, there is a lot of questions, a lot of skeptical, like a skeptical stuff of like, okay, but what about this? What about that? Like I heard about this, like things like that. What are some like common ones that we can like unravel and debunk type thing? I know it's kind of like a tough one, but
That was a little tough.
thanks, Rocky. Our spirits connected.
Right.
Rocky's at home right now, like, yep, that's a good question. I'm gonna ask
He's
him
gonna
later.
text me and be like, "Did you ask that one?" I'm like, "What?"
Whoa!
Did you? We said before that too.
Oh my goodness.
I hope not.
I hope not too.
That was like a whole 3 minutes.
I have talked recently to some new believers who have been here in the church, and their questions are nothing like the questions I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were like some of your questions then? Like if you had any.
I didn't have any like really good questions. My questions were like, okay, well, if there was really a flood, how'd we get all these animals back? If there was really like
Yeah.
If David really slayed Goliath, how is he still in favor with the Lord? Because he killed a man, like these kind of things.
I feel like those are good to say that you had because people are going to have them from both spectrums.
Oh, for
and then
sure.
people won't ask those kind because they don't think they're valid.
Important
Like,
questions, yeah.
no one ever elaborated on it. So, like, just like
No.
baptism, like, if no one
Yes.
explains it, then I guess it's not important to know.
And like it, I don't want to say it was like little things, but it was things in my brain back then where I was like, that's just not important for me to know. If it was important, surely someone would tell me, right? Like what happened.
There'd be a sermon on it if it was important.
Yes,
Right.
if it was that important, surely the pastor would get up there and preach on it. And since he never did,
I guess I don't need to know it.
I don't really need to know
But,
it.
like, the whole time, it's a barrier between you fully believing.
And it was a wild time.
Yeah.
I remember, not clearly, but I remember bits and pieces of like talking to people about the Bible and being like, okay, just taking their word for it. Just being like, oh,
Yeah.
all right. And it was just because like they were either a teacher or they were older than me or they were standing behind the pulpit. And I was like, you know what? These people know what they're talking about. So I'm just going to take that for what it is. That's it.
And that's dangerous because
Oh, it's so dangerous. It's so awful.
for sure, and it really doesn't need an explanation. It's just dangerous. But I'm gonna give one anyway because
Amen.
at that point you don't have a sense of faith,
No.
or a sense of relationship with Jesus. And I found myself. It was like recently. I think it was like within the last year. I was like kind of sitting with myself, and I was thinking. I was like, why do I believe? You know what I mean? What does my relationship look like? And I really thought, and I was like, why do I believe the things I believe? Okay, it's because this person I really, really trust, they started talking about it, and then I started to catch on with it, and now I know a bunch of things about it only from what they've said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have to be careful, especially new believers coming into their faith. Yes, it is very important to have role models and people to look up to
Yeah.
in the faith. Questions, anything like that, I'm not just always going to look up on Google, hey, what is casting out a demon? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to look that up.
I actually do. Because ooh-wee.
The Exorcist pops up at the movie. But, like,
That's wild.
it's important to have those kind of
Google that
people
later.
around you to be able to ask these questions. And we have to be careful at that aspect of asking those people questions, because if we only believe and go off what they say and run with that, we have a relationship. We don't have a personal relationship. Our relationship is dictated by the people around us. You know what I mean? Like if our group was like, shoes are bad, we're not wearing shoes anymore,
Amen.
and I had no idea, but you found something or you heard something, I trust y'all. So okay, shoes are bad. I'm not wearing shoes no more, unfortunately. But you see what I mean, though?
But then, like, if you don't know the like reason behind it, then someone comes to you and questions it, and they have
Ask
actual
them. All
reasons.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, if you're like, I believe in God, and then they come to you and they're like, why? Right? Because Kayla told me to, and they're like, well, I don't because of, and they
Yeah.
give you logical reasons, and just like that, you're like,
You start to question
But
it.
hold on.
Yeah,
it
you
can be
exactly.
debunked. That quick.
Yeah,
That's
for
wild.
sure. And it's very, very important that we have that as a new believer, sit back and understand that you are doing. It's not our relationship.
Yeah.
That's mine with Christ. You know, does that mean that's a
Well, it's
weird
not any,
word jumble?
it's not
That's
anyone
okay.
else's
That-
responsibility
yeah.
to make sure that you're taking it either.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, they can
There's
like
accountability.
check on you
Yeah.
and stuff, but like you can't be like, well, Natalie didn't text me today, so I'm not.
So I
gonna do it.
can't exactly.
Right,
That's a
I do
big
it.
difference with accountability. But yeah, as a new believer, it is very, very important to be able to have your own relationship with Christ.
And especially because like you don't have people watching you 24/7.
Amen.
And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like you have to learn how to do that on your own. And you have to learn to do it without having someone hold your hand.
Without
Because-
someone like, I was about to poke you. I'm
Exactly.
so sorry.
Yeah.
Because
Someone like, did you do it? Did you do it?
I'm glad you didn't.
I almost did.
I'm glad you
I
didn't.
stopped myself.
Look at that! I saw it. She literally
You
was like,
smacked your
Yeah,
hand.
literally.
Self-control.
The Spotify listeners just
Okay, Kayla's silent the
Kayla
rest
will
of the
be come back
podcast.
shortly. We're now down to 3.
But literally, like, you don't have someone who is right behind you all day who's like, hey,
Yeah.
did you do it? Hey, did you read?
And I think
Hey,
it's
did you do
hard
that?
too. Like if you become dependent on that person and you rely on them, and they hit a spot
Right.
in their faith where they're struggling, but you're still depending on them, then you're also going to allow their walk to dictate what your walk looks like. Because if they're having a moment and getting lazy,
Right.
and they're reading and they're studying and they're praying, you're gonna see that and be like, well, since they're not
they're not
checking on
doing
me,
it,
and if
then-
they're struggling, I'll just wait till they get themselves back on track, and then
Before
we'll
I
come
get
back
on
to
track.
like. And so you have to be able to like confidently walk in your own faith and stand on your own, and not question something as soon as things aren't going like as perfect as you think they should.
Yeah. Well, and if like I knew that Natalie was relying on me to like keep reading and stuff, and I hit a low point,
It puts pressure on.
then
And
Yeah.
and I hit a low point, then I'm going to be more focused on keeping Natalie afloat than even getting back
Right.
up.
Right.
If
and then
I
you don't want to
the
have to
energy.
ask for help, because
Yeah.
if you're supposed to be holding up this perfect Christian persona and you know you have someone else relying on you,
Right.
And then,
then it's going to be harder to be it's going to be harder for you to be open and vulnerable because you feel like you have to have all the answers, you have to have it all together.
Yeah.
So
And what you were saying about like holding their hand, as like a new believer, like I feel like it is important to almost like walk alongside with someone, like almost as like a support thing, and not just okay, listen. just
It's okay because it wasn't me who said that.
oh, was it?
It was
you? I apologize. I thought you said
I'm like, give me the credit.
Natalie stands up. What?
Hold on, that was
Hold
not
on.
her.
That was not
We need like a little
I know we're
button,
the
like,
same
hold
person,
on,
but
like
no,
a
no,
pause. But like walking into the faith as a new Christian, as a new believer, it is important to have a community or someone or two people to like walk alongside you, to guide you. You know what I mean? But there comes a point in time where you're not a baby Christian anymore.
Yeah.
You may be like a toddler. You know what I mean? Maybe you're just a child. And then along the line, you become more spiritually mature. You grow older in the faith. Does that make sense? So like,
I like to think of it as like a point of reference. Like you always need a point of reference, and you always need a community. But like no matter what phase you're at, you need someone that you know that you can go to. And a point of reference is something that you refer to when you need help or when you need something, not something that is pushing you along, coming to you like, "Have you ever read this book?" And they're like, "No." Like, okay, well I'll give it to you. Like, no, they referred something to you. Now it's up to you if you're going to use it or not.
exactly.
That's wild.
Speaking
I like
of
that.
community, this is so off topic, but I'm just gonna say it
What do you
anyway.
have?
I was watching an Instagram reel, and basically this big old group of friends
love
of like
Instagram.
12, they like bought a property and they lived on the property together, and it looked really awesome. Anyway, I have to tell Lee.
Everything
I
on
have to tell
Instagram
you.
looks really
You
awesome.
don't have to tell me.
We don't have to
Bring
talk
that
about
to
it.
I mean, you can buy houses on Amazon, by the way.
Houses.
Yeah.
And
So
at
that's
Lowe's,
like-
like you can buy like small houses
It's like it comes in like a box and it's like rectangle.
and you put it together.
Well, you have to like it's like metal or something already. I don't really know, but you like unfold it. Like you like push up the sides,
Oh yeah.
and it's like the roof, and then you have to like unfold it up, and
How
then
big is it?
it's actually pretty big.
Like,
Like it's a lot bigger
How
than
much
I know
does
what
it
you're talking about now.
cost?
like
Stop.
like it was like $3,800.
Imagine
I almost on the credit card.
Listen, after the podcast, I've got to find it because I got to show you guys.
That's
Someone was like
insane.
ordering a house on Amazon, and then someone was like, "That's $30,000." Someone was like, "No, I just looked it up, and it's $3,800."
That's wild.
And like it has a bathroom in it. Like it's like the size of like a camper bathroom, or like you can
Okay, but
almost
a
shower.
$3,800 house,
Imagine
bro.
your house delivered to you. It's like if you pay X amount overnight shipping, and you're like, yes, please.
You're sleeping in a tent on some land, and they just drop it off to you. Oh, thanks, I've been eating
Mom and
this.
Like,
Dad
hey,
are
that's my house. And then you're talking about the box.
Imagine all these things show up to mom and dad's house, and we're like, it's time, guys. Sorry about it.
Well, imagine like
We're just like
Natalie gets
slowly but
engaged.
surely just sending things to the house.
Natalie gets engaged. She's like, Owen's gonna move into our house first. I'm like, okay. And then the next day, there's a giant box in their yard. Like, what's that? Like, oh, that's Owen's house. Like, what?
That's the
Okay.
house.
It's just
Sorry
staying
about
right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Other
okay,
houses
okay.
are chilling if it's fine.
All right.
Please let me know from you. Yes, yes.
They all just start popping up on mom and dad's property. All these little
The
metal
special
houses.
instructions is place next to house 3.
I'll just show up with a tent.
That's it.
It's just a tent.
I love that
A
baby.
little portable
Couldn't
grill
be
and a
me.
tent.
He would say, "Show up with a tent," and then he'd see all of us in our houses. So you just like go from house to house.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, couch
Does anyone
hopping.
stay with you tonight?
Oh my! They start seeing Ethan and they're locking
like-
their doors. And
It's like
turning on the
Joseph and
lights.
Mary trying to find someone like, oh, it's all
Everything's
full.
full. Sorry.
Go in the bar and let's go.
Literally. That's so wild.
You Bunsen gunner, man.
That's wild.
it. That's
You
it.
have to say the
Okay.
How did we get here?
I guess we started talking about a community on Instagram.
Yeah.
We were talking about community.
yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Mm.
Anyway,
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
actually wild.
You know, great guy, you know.
Great guy.
not even the topic that we've been talking about.
Man, what a time.
We never finished Ethan's question
What was my question?
about like what are some questions
Oh,
to
yeah.
debunk
Mm.
or answer.
Yeah.
And then we got off
Common
topic when we were
questions.
talking about Kayla had like less important questions that she said, and then we started talking about that, and we never even talked about the ones that you had.
No,
We
and
literally
that's,
didn't answer a single question. We just started talking about
That's
how
okay.
people need to feel okay asking questions.
that's it. And then we all proceeded to ask questions and not answer a single one.
Not a single.
And how
But it's
often
still
does that
okay
happen?
to ask questions.
Even if you don't get an immediate answer, surely it'll come back up.
That's
and
the Lord.
You
you'll
ask
get
us, we'll
answers.
get it to you sometime.
At some
You
point,
may have to
I
listen to the
promise.
podcast.
You may have to listen 35 minutes before we finally answer the question, but it's okay. It's okay. It's all right.
Just being real.
This is the episode we should have like had people sending questions.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Or brought on like a new believer. Like the spotlight, like
Imagine.
Imagine, so
no, that'd actually be cool though.
No, it would not.
I would have
think it
hated
would.
that. I would have
As someone
knowing that everyone else knew, like
Yes.
knew more.
I
Oh,
didn't
and
feel like I was getting
Look at us for
interrogated.
knowing.
I would feel interrogated.
Yeah,
I would
Yeah,
have
we could've
definitely
brought him.
felt.
Yeah,
He would have
He
been,
would've been fine.
They'd have been like, oh yeah.
No, he
we
wouldn't
tried to
have.
talk to him on
No, he
Sunday.
wouldn't have.
Oh yeah.
He would have literally just sat there in silence.
Yeah.
But that's exactly how I
Okay.
would have felt with everyone going like.
10
Yeah.
likes,
A lot.
we get pop off. 5 likes, we get Owen.
Okay, 5 likes. That's literally
Half.
I know.
no. We
I
can
know what I said.
really do the 5.
I know what I said.
I know what I said.
Owen's
I know
next
what I said.
episode.
Right.
Amen, amen. But to be a new believer and like this kind of like conversation, I can remember like not technically being a new believer, but only knowing like just a smidgen,
Mhm.
just a smidgen about the Lord, and having people like around me just like
Conversating.
and yes, just having conversations that had nothing to do with me, but I'd
But
be
like that
sitting
are
there.
big topics.
Yeah.
Intimidating.
It's intimidating to just
Lord,
be
it's
there
so
and be like,
intimidating.
okay, but I don't know anything.
Yeah, and you just have to
about
shake
the
your head,
woman
laugh when they
who
laugh.
touched the hem of his garment. Like, I don't know anything about that.
Mm.
Sounds cool. I don't know anything about the woman at the well because I'm new to this. I don't know anything about Saul becoming Paul.
Mhm.
I just don't know. And everyone's like, and then this happened, and then there was the road to Damascus, and I'm still like,
What's Damascus? Who's that?
who's, are we hanging out with Damascus?
The baskets? Who's that?
Did you mean Demarcus and you just can't read? Like,
And see, those are the things I don't remember ever questioning because it just always
But when
Oh, always.
I remember like growing up,
scared me.
every time.
like
Every time.
being in like the family that we were in, it was expected that like we had all the answers.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I remember hitting a point in my life where I didn't want to know the answers to
Mhm.
anything.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to be like, oh, I don't know. And so then I just stopped caring. So I didn't ask questions.
Mhm.
I didn't care
Mm.
because I didn't want to be looked at as the person who,
Who knew it all?
because my parents
Well, the
are who they are.
Oh,
Because that was always
A
the default.
tragedy.
Yes.
Like if we were to ever have like questions, everyone would look to us.
Mhm.
If we were like pairing off into groups,
everyone wanted to be with
with one of us.
Yeah.
And
Like the
I
Bible
remember
quizzes in Sunday school.
Exactly.
Oh,
And,
dude,
I,
I was
Sword
hyped in it.
drill.
If I was with someone that
and I-
knew, I was like,
and I
yes, we're
remember
winning.
getting to a point where I just like I didn't want to know because I wanted to be able to say like
Yeah, you
oh,
wanted
I
to be
don't know.
real.
I don't know. Well, no, I just didn't care.
I remember
like I was
moving
like, it's not
into
my
youth
fault that I grew up in a
Well, I
house that
remember
we knew
first-
all the like I just didn't,
Right.
I did not want to be
I didn't choose this life. It chose me.
right, and I just didn't want to be looked at like that kind of person. So I can remember like probably when those conversations were happening, like I probably knew all the answers, and I was just like, nah, I don't know what you're talking
Nope.
because I just
Yeah.
didn't want to know.
But I remember like moving into youth group. Like I remember it in Sunday school, and we would do like the like score things
Mhm.
that like we. I remember specifically we did like a gumball thing one time, and like everyone else had like barely the bottom filled, and mine was like overflowing, and I was expected.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And then I remember when I moved into youth group, there was like, I feel like it was like a Christmas thing that we did with the youth, and it was like with the other churches too.
Mm.
It was in the basement, and there were a bunch of people there. I don't
I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry.
but like I know that we got put in groups, and then it was like Bible Christmas trivia or something.
Mm.
And it was
I would've
literally
never
like
got
my first or second year in youth group, and everyone was like, I'm not Courtney on my team. And I'm like, you guys are seniors in high school. Like, I'm barely 12.
I'm
Like-
barely 12.
This is so off topic, but it sparked. I don't even remember this. You remember when we were in Sunday school, just the two of us, in
What?
like the middle
Yeah.
school. It was a
Yeah.
weird time.
the two
It was
of you?
literally
Yeah.
just the two of us.
I remember that because that's
I
when all of
remember that.
like everyone
It was like-
moved up and all your friends
I
left.
Yeah, I
hated
was
that
mad.
time.
I was so mad.
because all of
Because
my
they hated
All of my friends were going.
all of my friends had moved up to youth, and you moved up before the rest of your friends.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
we
you
were
were older
both
than
just
your
in between and
friends.
hated life. But they didn't know where to put us, so they just threw us in this awkward middle class, and we were like, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually
Dang,
sad.
that sparked the
Anyway,
whole
I
thing.
know. I just feel like I need to say that because I was having a
Holy
whole like. I was going down a
never in
rabbit
youth group
trail of
without
my own brain.
friends.
Oh,
Never.
it was
Not
bad.
once.
You didn't start coming to the church until you all were in youth group.
Walking back out of the
Really?
classroom and
Just
seeing
kidding.
everybody. It's like,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah. And we would immediately like split and group off and like never
No,
to
like
speak
actually.
again.
Like
Like,
actually.
That's so
we'll see you
sad.
next week.
Maybe.
And look at you guys now, literally in a podcast together.
Yeah.
Insane.
Matching
What a
too.
time.
That's when it
Stop.
started.
That thing is crazy.
Literally
That
matching
is
for 2
crazy.
eps in a row.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Oh, yeah, because both. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the next one you guys can match too.
Next week he's gonna text her, "Don't wear
Don't
this.
wear this color.
And
I'm
then
sending
Natalie
you my whole
would-
outfit. Just be prepared. Like,
then she
don't
better
wear
you
this.
better wear the Timothy that thing. Like
Better
dude,
match to a T. Yes.
I'm gonna buy you the all clips too.
Amen.
What is that? The little clippy thing?
Mhm.
Back on track. Where's Rocky? Rocky, please.
Yeah.
Hey, we're fun. It's building this on.
We're fine. This is okay. This is great. Man, I thought I had another question, and it's kind of gone.
Okay, I have. So,
We still never answered your first one, but
That's okay. I don't think it really needs an answer. It's just a question.
walking into the faith, right? Let's just say that. We're all walking. I didn't hear you. My brain is
Your
going.
question literally was like, "What are questions that people have?" And she said, "It wasn't a question. It doesn't need an answer."
I mean, it's just a question. Not all.
So-
we don't need all the answers to all the questions.
Yeah, point proven. Everyone not listed earlier. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah,
what were
So
we saying?
imagine this, right? All of us,
I'm not
Brandon,
knowing the answers to questions. Not only know the answers to questions.
Oh, I was like, I don't remember what I said. I don't
I
remember
was
what I
like,
said. Like, yeah.
Imagine if we had a whole podcast of just asking questions.
That'd be wild.
Okay, but
Anyway.
So
anyway, your question.
walking into the faith,
Yes.
right? We're all brand new at this.
Mhm.
We know Jesus came and died for the cross. We know that he slept in a manger. Cool. What did I say? What did I say?
Jesus came and died for the cross.
Died on the cross. Okay.
Died
You know what
for
I
it,
mean.
Amen and amen.
Okay, you know what I mean.
Ah.
And you guys suck,
Here's,
man.
I figured out the problem. I know the problem with today's episode, okay? I can see them.
Oh, you can never see
Yes.
us.
It's
Oh
rough.
wow, that's so.
It's rough.
I can never see you.
I look great every episode.
Right. Right.
I think I want to touch on what you just said of walking into the faith.
But I was gonna say like things that are intimidating. You know what I mean? Like the almost stigma of like the people
Everyone
around
already
us
knows
have to be
this.
like they already know this, so I have to know it. I'm sure they've read the Bible, so I have to read the whole Bible. I have to read the whole Bible.
Have to read it. It's okay.
You know, and then honestly, it can go like as deep as like all these people are talking about casting out demons. What the
Mhm.
heck is that? You know what I mean? Like
Now
it's-
I have to cast out demons. Is that what you're telling me? Like
Right.
it's wild.
Yeah.
Or like they've all already been delivered.
I have
So
to be
then,
delivered.
well, isn't it? Am I behind then if I
Mhm.
still like haven't been like?
Mhm.
a
I'm not
thing of-
valued as much. I'm just a baby.
Mhm.
They're all talking about their experience of being delivered, but I've never done that, so I'm just not gonna.
I'm not even going to engage in that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just going to. I will sit on the sidelines and pray and hope the Lord does
Mhm.
something.
Pray from a distance and just.
Yes.
And then Rocky walks up, and then
Calls you.
As soon as you're by yourself and Rocky walks up to you,
You
it's
just
done. Just walk away.
Run for it.
Like you're gonna have to just like quit the game. Like you're gone.
Log out. Be done. Don't save anything. Just be done. But what I was gonna say to walking into the faith. Sometimes I feel like I didn't walk into it. I just kind of like suddenly dived in out of nowhere. Like it wasn't a. I don't want to say I didn't have time, but it feels like it was one of those things of like the Lord was just kind of like, "Yep, all right, you're mine. Let's go. Let's run it. Let's
Yeah.
go."
Mm,
And
yeah.
it wasn't a like, we'll go slow and we'll walk and you'll learn this and you'll learn that
Yeah.
and we'll set a routine. It was for me. It felt like it was suddenly just like, especially, hello. especially coming back to the Lord and just being like, all right, everything's yours. He was like, bet that's what I wanted. Let's go. And I'm like, okay, but you cannot. Okay, we could walk. And he's like, nah, baby, you've been walking for too long. Let's run it. Let's
You already
go.
gave it to no takesy backsies.
Like literally, just like, oh, okay.
Do you think that's what you needed though? Like, do you think that if you would
Oh, for
have said
sure.
that you were saved and saw everyone up here and you were still back here, you would have been like, then maybe I'm not saved.
Mhm.
Like he
Oh,
knew
for sure.
that you had to catch
That I
up
had to have
be
been
able
like-
to.
I don't want to say dragged. I do not want to say dragged, but
He had
it
to pick
feels
up and
like I
carry
felt
you
the
like a
wind on my
football.
face, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like I'm on a roller coaster or something." The Lord's like,
Yeah.
"Let's go," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, all right, Jesus." I was expecting like a
Because he
nice
knew
little
if
like
you felt behind, you would feel
I'd quit.
inferior.
If
Yeah.
I had felt any more behind, because I was that person who was like, "Okay, everyone's experiencing deliverance," and I'm just kind of like,
Mm.
oh, nice. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to pray, and surely the Lord will be like, okay, you've been delivered. And that's not what happened for me. It took like
Yeah.
a lot of like coming to realize like, okay, that's what I want to do. And like I talked to Dad one night when we were here, and I was like, I think I'm just a little like disheartened that I can't do that. And he was like, you can't do what? I can't cast out demons. And he was like, okay, but why can't you? And I was like, you're right. Okay. I guess you're right. There's nothing saying I
It's one of
can't.
those questions where like he like has you answer it yourself.
Literally.
Like,
Yes.
like
Sick of
just
it.
answer the question.
Just
That's
tell
all I
me.
gave to you.
Give me a solid reason why I can't or
We've
I
all been
can.
there.
He's like, well,
Yeah.
why can't you? Like, oh,
Right.
you're right.
I'm asking you, why can't I? He's like, I
well,
don't know. So you
I
tell
don't
me.
know. Run it. Tell me right now. You're like, oh, I guess I can't. Never mind.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things of like, I was that person who felt like really behind. And for what? I don't know. My own inferiority complex, whatever.
Mhm.
But it was one of those things like, slowly but surely, I'm falling behind and everyone's like moving forward. And I felt so like I was going to miss out.
Yeah.
What I was going to miss out on, I don't know. But I thought for sure I was missing out on the party. I was missing out on the fun. And I was
Mhm.
like, I'm just never going to get there.
And that was that I've been there plenty of times. Plenty of like more than I can count. And I know why. It's because I'm not disciplined. You know what I mean? I'm just motivated. And that's a big difference. But
Oh.
what?
Discipline,
not being disciplined, but being motivated.
Yeah.
Ew, I hate that.
Because motivation is
Yeah,
temporary
motivation.
discipline. But like waking up or like you're just up until 3 a.m, and then all of a sudden you're just like, man, like I want to change my whole life and start doing push-ups. That's temporary discipline
That's
because you think of it in the moment and then you're doing it. But anyway, so
Being manic.
the times were like the times that like
I'm sorry, I'm speaking for myself.
I've like felt behind like that. The biggest thing that I hear is the enemy whisper in my ear, like, oh wow, I lost it. Hold on a second.
Okay, but I'm gonna tag in on that. The enemy has told me that before, where I've been on such a like, I'm gonna call it a spiritual high, and the enemy suddenly like when I'm starting to feel low, he's like, you lost it.
Yes.
You lost
Yeah.
that spark right
Yes,
there. You
right there.
lost it. It's gone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's not coming back because you done messed up somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where
Yeah.
it is, but you know where. And I'm like, do I know where? And he's
Or
like,
it's like,
yeah.
you don't know how you got here, did you?
Yeah,
No.
You don't-
Okay, so then what happened? How you getting out of it?
exactly. You don't know how you got here.
Right.
You don't know how you even
Yeah.
got.
Did
to
you
this
really
mountaintop.
change anything? But it's because it was such
Mm.
slight changes.
Mm.
that you didn't
And
realize
and
it.
it's like,
Mhm.
and so how are you going to change it again without getting that high again?
Right.
So
Yeah.
then instead of chasing the relationship with
Mhm.
the Lord and chasing your walk in your faith,
You're chasing the high.
you're chasing the next spiritual
Mhm.
high that you're
Yeah.
I'm
gonna
chasing
find.
the next emotion, the next
Exactly.
revival.
Exactly.
I'm chasing the next new song,
And that's not going to sustain. That's not going to
to
sustain you.
No.
that's not
The
going
next
to
thing
last.
to make you look good in front of
Right.
everyone else.
Yeah.
to make
Like, well,
everyone
they're
think
all
I've met the
feeling that.
Lord.
Right. But like, even is everyone even feeling it the way that we say that they are, or are they just praising him anyway?
I think
We
that
put
we
such
have
an expectation of, well, they're always on a spiritual high. No,
Mhm.
maybe they just learn to thank him for his goodness even when it doesn't feel good.
And especially if you're only seeing people once or twice a week
Right.
Literally.
for a
Right.
couple hours,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you're basing that time as their walk,
Mhm.
that is
Right.
crazy.
I am basing your whole
That
life
is
off of
that
how
is
you are on
crazy.
Sunday morning.
Because if we
especially,
spent
especially because you know the way that you
Yes.
walk into church on a Sunday morning.
Yes.
right, like you're putting it
Like
all
you're
together.
putting it all
Yeah.
together, and then
Yeah.
you're trying to base
I
that
better walk away. bro. I almost just stood up. Like I can't sit down.
You
I'm so
know the
antsy.
way you perform when you come to church, and the way that you want people to perceive you throughout the week. You know the way you do it,
and we're expecting everybody's perfect.
Right, and
Oh
yet
my
you're
God.
getting disheartened and feeling discouraged and like you're behind.
There's no way they just put on their
because
best.
you're looking
Right.
at everyone else doing the exact
No
same
way.
right, because you're looking at everyone else doing the exact same thing that you're doing,
Mhm.
but assuming that's their wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is
Wow.
crazy.
Because that's a Facebook life. That's an
It
Instagram
is.
life.
It
Just that
is.
like 2 hours that you see them.
It's-
Like if our group like spent and then well we did in Tennessee. Now like if we spent like every day together
That's
for a
wild.
week, like all day
yeah.
together for a week, bro. I mean we've done it before, so like we kind of like
Not
understand each other.
Yeah.
But like if our group like just started getting close type thing, and we're like, okay, let's spend the entire week together. Y'all would look at me like I had 4 heads and 3 arms. Like
not already.
Right.
I almost gave you the bird. I'm serious. I'm being real. But
Let
like,
me get the explicit filter on it.
like it's just a little blur comes on the screen.
Not even a blur, like a black mark.
Black line, like wow, even I can't believe you do that. Wow, that's crazy.
I'm gonna do
Oh, jeez Louise.
So now you have to do it.
that. I am.
So that
I'm so doing
so
it.
that-
Oh, like actually flicking around.
that way you can now put it.
So like, yeah, no, I'm actually gonna do it.
No.
Not right now, but I will at some
All right, everybody at home, close your eyes. Like, earmuffs. Like you've been told that as a kid. I hated that.
Close your eyes and bow your
Yeah,
heads.
sorry.
Maybe just
Even though you're gonna fix it anyway. So the only one seeing it
it's us.
unfiltered is
He could have
us.
been doing this whole time. He's been putting his fist up, and no
Right,
one
no one would know. And now they will.
Back on track. I forgot what I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a matter of keeping it real. You know, I'm gonna kind of switch up. I'm gonna talk to the crowd. Advice and talk to the crowd, to the people watching at home.
No, that's okay. You literally just said I forgot what I was saying, but you know it's about being real.
I'm gonna switch it up, and you didn't even know what you were talking about.
But no, I just wanted to say, like, if there's any new believers watching or anybody new to the faith, like, don't feel they have to live up to an expectation just because of the persona that like Christians have, that we're perfect and that we know the Bible front to back and everything like that. You know, be real with everybody around you, build a community, and you know, like form your relationship with Christ because you want it, not because your boyfriend or girlfriend wants it, not because your mom and dad believe, not because you know your grandma's goldfish's brother believes. You know what I mean? Like,
and your grandma's goldfish's brother.
I swear, like he's a good guy, but like
Talk to your man.
like you have to have a relationship because you want the relationship.
He said your grandma's goldfish's brother, and now they're just like nodding, like.
And then all at once I was like, it like took a second to process.
Like, yes, yes.
I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support. Just
Bless
rocking
the
along.
grandma's goldfish's brother.
Bless him. Bless him.
We're
Lord.
gonna have
I'm like,
to get,
that's the whole reason
we're gonna
I
have to get like a
started believing.
goldfish, like little stuffed animal right here, dude. That'd be awesome. Special
And his
guest.
brother.
And his brother.
And
And the grandma. Where are we gonna find a grandma? We can't just go. Never.
I don't think we should take that. I don't think that's a choice.
Someone else said something.
For new believers.
Yeah. That's good. I agree.
Thank you. I think it's important that we recognize that no one knows your story, so no one has the ability to be like, oh well, their lack of praise or their abundance of praise is something to look at.
Yeah.
No one knows where the Lord brought you from, so no one can judge where your praise is, where your worship is, where your relationship is, because no one knows that. So don't base your relationship on someone else's relationship, because that's just going to make Jesus your acquaintance.
Exactly.
Dang.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
You won't get that closeness anymore.
An intimate relationship.
And even like
Won't have
watching
it.
other people is just an assumption. Like if
Literally,
someone's at
it
the
is.
front like sobbing, you don't know if it's because like the Lord
They're
showed up in a
thankful.
way that
Yeah.
you didn't expect him to. If you're experiencing the goodness of God, if there's a family member here that's been praying
Which is
for
next
forever,
episode,
and they
Goodness
just-
of God.
and they didn't- no, it's not.
Never mind.
No, it's not.
It'll be a future episode.
or if it's because like they're crying out to the Lord. If they're
Right.
like, you literally have no clue, but then
No
we base
idea.
it on, wow, look at them being so holy, bowing before
Right.
the Lord. Like
Right.
they could not, like it could have taken everything for them to get here.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been like taking drugs on the way here,
Literally.
and then we're like, wow, look
Wow.
at them.
Look at them.
Yeah.
Couldn't be
What a
me.
man of God. What a
Wow.
woman of God. Like,
Right.
bless
Yeah.
their heart.
Or
Right,
even
yeah.
worse, we're like, wow, look at them on their faces. For what?
Right.
Mhm.
Or look at
Like,
them
what
just
do they
sitting
have?
back in this.
What do they
What
have
do
to be
they have
crying
to
out to the Lord about?
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
their Facebook life is great.
And
Oh, yeah.
So then you just assume they have it all together.
They must have it all
And-
together.
right.
You see them crying. For
Right.
Or they're just sitting in the back. Look at them not up here up
Right.
the front. When really they're like been so checked they can't even stand up to walk in the front.
Mm.
Okay, but that is
Conviction.
insane.
That's
That is
because-
wild.
Okay, but have
Right.
you been there?
That's yes.
Like,
To-
my stomach, like, it just, and that's the
There's-
Holy Spirit just.
There's nothing I can do. I
go.
can't
Like, I'm
move.
done.
Just
Yeah.
sitting. There have been times when I've been like doing the words and nothing's moving up there, and my brain's like, I don't know what to tell y'all guys. I can't do anything but sit here and just attempt to process. I can't do nothing.
Yeah.
And I remember times where I just be like, okay, I'm just gonna clear all and hope for the best, and
Our camera's
everything
dying.
else will be fine. And that's just
Our camera's dead.
It's
Oh.
fine.
We're
That's
about
okay.
out of time anyway.
Yeah, the audio's still
Yeah,
working.
the audio's still going. It's fine.
I just looked over. I was like, how long have we been dead for? That's wild.
How long have we been dead for?
Well, maybe I just
It's
won't.
like 30 seconds, 40
Oh,
seconds.
Okay,
that's
well-
okay.
It's
Yep.
fine.
There
There
it
it
goes.
is.
Yeah,
The mic's still on though.
Yeah, it's not
Okay,
okay.
it's
Anybody
sorry.
want to end it off with like any more advice or
Good luck.
Good luck is wild
That
to
is
say.
wild.
no? But you know what I meant.
No, I
Not
think you just
good
good luck, buddies. You got it.
They'll catch on how to translate me. Like
they'll catch on how to
Anyway.
translate you. You got
anybody
it.
else?
Anyway,
Anywho,
Some solid advice: find you a good community.
Yes.
Find you some people who will uplift you and also kind of humble you. Find you some people who will call you a disobedient brat when you're being one.
Literally.
I don't know, just don't give up.
yeah, I think don't get discouraged if you don't
Yeah.
find the picture perfect community right away. Like,
Right.
because obviously no thing is like great, but like if I would have been like new to the faith and would have seen, what are you doing?
He's about to
I'm gonna sneeze.
But if you're like new to the faith, then you see groups that can get together and have these kind of conversations and stuff, and then you're like, well, I'm never gonna be able to find that, so I'm just never gonna look. I'm never gonna try. That's not for me. Like,
Welcome to our group. Oh,
Well-
camera's off. Dang it. Why did I- Welcome to our group. You're part of our group now.
I was literally about to say, don't be discouraged if you can't find an us. That's okay. Not
that's what I
everyone
almost said
finds
too,
an
but
us
then I was like, I don't want to
immediately.
put us up there.
Yeah, because even though like we've known each other for so long, but look how long it took for us to
To
like
know each
to
other.
and to
long
build
Okay,
the
but look
relationships
at how
we
long
have now.
it took.
Exactly.
It takes work.
It does
Yeah.
take work.
So you
guys
won't
hated
find an
each other,
us.
so
I hated just about everyone that was in this group. Let's be honest.
you hated everyone in this
Okay.
group. Let's be honest.
Wow, I thought
Do you
I was
have
the favorite. Darn.
Do you have any send off advice type
Not
thing?
send off advice.
Send off
That's
advice
wild.
is crazy. Like, oh,
Mhm.
go ahead.
What?
That is.
But, like,
Non
you know
voyage,
what?
baby. You got it.
Okay.
Good luck in the world.
Yeah, but anyway.
Good luck. See you later. Hope for the best.
Okay. We appreciate y'all watching, tuning in to episode 8.
Sorry, our camera died.
Camera did die.
We didn't, just the camera.
Just in case y'all didn't know.
He's still gonna
Mm.
go.
Here we go.
Are you about to tell him?
Here we go.
I'm about to tell him where to find us?
Hold on.
Maybe I should
Just
say
in
where to
case
find
y'all
us.
didn't know.
I like that
He's
you're
standing
standing
up,
No one can
staring at
see
the
you.
camera.
I know. That's
in
okay.
case
I'm doing it for myself.
You got it.
I'm just excited for
We have a
Chick-fil-A, to be
podcast.
honest with you. I'm hungry.
Okay, so then do the intro.
We are on a bunch of social media.
A bunch of
The
social media.
following
Wow, where are we on? Where are we? Tell them.
TikTok,
TikTok. Crazy.
Instagram,
Instagram. Love it.
YouTube,
YouTube.
and Spotify
And Spotify. That's
All-
so wild.
at What a Time Podcast.
Oh, at What a Time Podcast.
But
Can
we
they
have-
contact us?
Yeah, how can they contact us,
How-
Ethan?
Great question.
Let them know, Ethan. Tell them right now. Go ahead.
Ah.
They're-
official.whatatimepodcast@gmail.com. Any
Wow.
questions, comments, concerns?
and funny jokes.
Funny jokes. Send them our way. We might do the topic. We might not do the topic.
I feel like an ad on the radio.
We just need like a soundboard of like and funny jokes. But anyway,
That's actually.
if you're not
wild.
already subscribed, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, man. keep
Oh.
or follow along with us. If you're not on, if you're on Spotify listening to us,
Can people subscribe on Spotify?
yeah, they can
Yeah.
follow us on Spotify,
Oh,
and
good.
they
So
can give us
follow
a
us
good
there, too.
review.
Yeah.
A 5-star review
we
would
love
be very, very
reviews.
appreciated.
That means Kayla's not followed us on something.
Well, no, I am. I just didn't know if it said follow or if it said something else.
Follow.
Yeah, is it follow, not subscribe?
Yeah, follow. 5-star review on Spotify would be awesome. Follow our social medias, and thanks for watching episode 8.
5-star reveal. Yes.
We'll see y'all. I hope y'all had a great Monday. We'll see y'all next week.
Okay, bye. We did it. Yay.